My name is Bonnie, and at 30 years old, I flew in for my sister's wedding, only to find out she had changed the date weeks ago. She never told me, but she made sure to tell my ex. If you have ever felt betrayed by the people who should have been your biggest supporters, let me know where you are watching from. The airport was busy, filled with people rushing past me, but all I could feel was excitement bubbling up inside. I had spent weeks preparing for this trip, rearranging my work schedule, making sure I had the perfect dress, booking my flight months in advance so I wouldn't miss Lisa's big day. And now I was finally here. I rolled my suitcase through the terminal, pulling out my phone to send a quick text. Just landed, can't wait for tomorrow. No response. That wasn't unusual. Liz had never been the best at texting back. I shrugged it off, heading to the taxi stand. It wasn't until I arrived at the hotel that I started feeling like something was off. I walked up to the front desk, smiling at the receptionist. Hi, I should have a reservation under Bonnie Carter. I'm here for the wedding. She frowned slightly, typing on her computer. Wedding? I nodded, adjusting the strap on my purse. Yeah, for Liz Carter. There should be a room block for guests. He kept typing. Then her expression shifted. I'm sorry, but I don't see any reservation under that name. Are you sure you have the right hotel? I froze. Of course I had the right hotel. Liz had sent me the name herself months ago. Can you check again? I asked, my voice tightening. She did. Still nothing. My stomach twisted as I pulled up my messages, scrolling back until I found the details Liz had sent me months ago. I was at the right hotel, but there was no wedding. I swallowed hard, forcing a smile. Maybe there was a mistake. I'll check with my sister. I stepped aside and hit call on Lisa's number. No answer. I tried again, straight to voicemail. A cold feeling crept up my spine. Maybe she was busy with last-minute wedding prep. Maybe she had bad service, but something felt wrong. I opened social media, my fingers trembling as I searched for Lisa's name. And there was a full wedding album. My breath caught in my throat as I stared at the pictures. Liz in a white dress, beaming, her husband holding her hand, a packed venue filled with smiling faces. It had already happened. I scrolled frantically, my heart pounding. There was a caption under one of the pictures. Best day of my life. So grateful for everyone who came to celebrate with us. The comments were filled with congratulations. I looked at the date, 3 weeks ago. I felt my knees go weak. She had changed the wedding date, and she had never told me. My ears started ringing. I kept scrolling, my chest tightening with every photo. Our parents were there, our aunts, our cousins. Everyone had been invited. Everyone but me. And then, just when I thought it couldn't get worse, I saw him. Then my ex. There he was in the background of a group photo, laughing like he belonged there. Like he had always been part of our family, like he deserved to be at my sister's wedding more than I did. I covered my mouth, my breath coming out in shallow gasps. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't a simple oversight. This was deliberate. Liz hadn't just forgotten to tell me. She had made sure I wasn't there, but she had made sure Ethan was. And that realization hit me harder than anything. I stood frozen in the hotel lobby, staring at my phone, my chest so tight. I thought I might actually break apart. I had spent my entire life trying to be the good sister. I had flown in, rearranged my schedule. I spent hundreds of dollars to be here for her, and she hadn't even had the decency to tell me I was no longer invited. But she had made sure my ex got an invitation. I felt sick. The receptionist was watching me cautiously, probably wondering why I looked like I had just been punched in the stomach. I forced my legs to move, dragging my suitcase toward the hotel lounge before I collapsed onto a chair. I needed to breathe. I needed to think. But all I could do was stare at the photos, my mind racing with questions that had no good answers. How long had Liz been planning to leave me out? Had she always intended to exclude me, or had she decided at some point that I didn't deserve to be there? And why had she told Ethan? Ethan, the man who had promised me forever only to betray me. The man I had spent months trying to forget. I had avoided family gatherings just to make sure I wouldn't run into him. I had spent so much time healing, trying to rebuild my life after he shattered it. Now my own sister had made sure he was part of something that I wasn't. My hands clenched into fists. For years, I had been the one making an effort with Liz. I was the one who called her, who remembered her birthdays, who flew in for family events even when it was inconvenient. And this was how she repaid me. I thought back to the last time we spoke. She had acted normal. She had let me believe I was coming. She had let me buy a dress, plan my trip, spend money on a gift. And she had done all of that while knowing she had already cut me out. Tears burned at the back of my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. Because this time, I wasn't going to be the bigger person. I wasn't going to chase after her asking why, because deep down I already knew the answer. She had never really wanted me there at all. I sat there in the hotel lounge, my phone clutched in my hands, staring at the wedding photos as if looking at them long enough would somehow make this all make sense. But it didn't, because there was no good explanation for what Liz had done. I wasn't just forgotten, I was deliberately left out. And the more I thought about it, the more everything from our childhood started falling into place. I should have seen this coming. Liz and I had never been close in the way sisters were supposed to be. Not because I didn't try. I had spent my whole life trying. But Liz, she had spent her whole life making sure I knew I wasn't important. It started when we were kids. Liz was the golden child. She was loud, charming, funny, the kind of person who could say something awful and somehow get away with it because she knew how to spin it into a joke. Me, I was the quiet one, the responsible one, the one who didn't need the attention. At least that's what everyone told me. I was the one who got good grades without needing help, the one who never caused trouble, the one who our parents could always count on. And somehow, instead of that making them proud of me, it just made me invisible. Liz, on the other hand, was always the center of everything. If we both got in trouble, I was the one who had to apologize. If I had something she wanted, our parents told me to give it to her because I was older and more mature. She did something wrong. Mom and Dad rushed to her defense. She didn't mean it that way, Bonnie. You know how Liz is. She just likes being the center of attention. Don't take it so personally. And for a long time, I didn't. I told myself that's just how sisters were, that one day we'd grow out of it. But Liz never grew out of it. She just got better at pushing me aside. By the time we were teenagers, it wasn't just family that treated Liz like she was the most important person in the room. It was everyone. Liz was the one with the big friend group, the boyfriends, the endless invitations to parties. I was the tag-along sister, included only when it was convenient for her. And when it wasn't, she'd make sure I knew I wasn't wanted. Like the time she threw a birthday party and told me our parents wanted me to stay out of the way, or the time she borrowed my favorite dress, without asking, ruined it, and then told me I was being dramatic for getting upset. Or the time she forgot to pick me up from school and then laughed about it, telling me I should have found my own ride home. She never faced consequences because Liz could do anything and our parents would always defend her. And the worst part? I let it happen. Because I thought if I just kept being the bigger person, she would finally respect me. If I didn't fight back, she would finally stop treating me like I was nothing. If I just tried harder, she would love me the way I loved her. And then came Ethan. I met Ethan in my mid-20s. We had been together for 4 years. At one point, I thought we were going to get married. I thought he was my person, until he betrayed me. And Liz, she had never once asked how I was after the breakup. Instead, she kept bringing him up. Whenever I saw her, she'd make these little comments, pretending they were innocent. I ran into Ethan the other day. He looks great. Ethan was asking about you. He still thinks you're amazing. I don't get why you guys didn't work out. You were so good together. She never cared about how much it hurt me, because my feelings had never mattered to her. Now she had done the one thing I never thought she'd be cruel enough to do. She had invited him to her wedding, and not me. I clenched my jaw, forcing myself to take deep breaths. I had spent my whole life trying to earn my place in this family. But what was I even fighting for? To be in a room full of people who wouldn't have noticed if I was missing? To be part of something that was never meant for me? I pulled up Lisa's number, my hands shaking. For the first time in years, I wasn't going to let this slide. I hit call, straight to voicemail. I tried again, same thing. I let out a bitter laugh. Of course Liz was avoiding me, because she knew what she had done. I sat there for a moment, staring at my phone, heart pounding. Then I did something I had never done before. I texted her. Me, I saw the pictures. You changed the date. You never told me. I watched as the message delivered. Then I added, me, but you made sure Ethan was there. For a long time, there was nothing. Then finally, the typing bubble appeared. Liz, please, Bonnie, I can explain. I let out a slow breath, my fingers tightening around my phone. I wasn't even sure if I wanted to hear whatever excuse she was about to give me. But I was done being the sister who just let things go. So I typed back, "Me. Go ahead, explain." Because for the first time in my life, I wanted her to say it out loud. There was a time when I would have waited anxiously for Liz's response, my stomach in knots, hoping she'd finally give me the explanation I deserved. But not this time. This time, I wasn't holding my breath. I set my phone down, staring out the hotel window, watching the city lights blur as the reality of what had happened sank in. I had flown in for nothing. My suitcase was still sitting in the corner of the room, untouched, packed with everything I had planned to wear to a wedding I was never invited to. The dress I had bought specifically for Lisa's big day, the carefully wrapped gift in my luggage, all of it, a waste. I had spent hundreds of dollars on flights and accommodations, rearranged my work schedule, set aside time to be here for her, because she was my sister, and she hadn't even thought I deserved to know the truth. But Ethan did. That thought made my stomach twist in a way I couldn't ignore. She had made sure my ex was there. She had made sure he got an invitation. She had made sure he was included, but not me. My phone buzzed. I stared at Liz's name on the screen for a moment before finally opening the message. Liz. Look, I didn't want you to find out this way. I let out a short, humorless laugh. Me. How exactly was I supposed to find out? I watched as the typing bubble appeared, then disappeared, then came back. Liz. It was a last-minute change. Things got complicated, so we had to move the date. I gritted my teeth. Me. 3 weeks ago is not last minute. No response. I could picture her sitting there, trying to come up with something that would make this seem less awful than it actually was, and I was done letting her twist the truth. Me. You told Ethan. You told everyone else, but not me. This time she responded quickly. Liz. I didn't think you'd want to come. I froze. A sharp, hollow feeling settled in my chest. That was it. That was her excuse. Not even a fake apology. Not even an attempt to make it sound better. She just didn't think I'd want to come. Like it wasn't even worth asking. Like she had made the decision for me. I clenched my jaw, my fingers trembling as I typed back. Me. That's not your call to make. You let me buy a dress, plan this trip, spend money, rearrange my entire life for this, and you didn't think to tell me? But you thought Ethan needed to be there? The typing bubble popped up, then it vanished. She had nothing to say. I could almost hear her voice in my head, trying to justify it. It wasn't that big of a deal. You always make everything about you. Why are you so upset? It's not like we're that close. That last thought hit me hard. Because that was the truth, wasn't it? We weren't close. We had never been close, and no matter how much I had tried, how many birthdays I had remembered, how many times I had flown in for family holidays, how many times I had been there for her even when she didn't deserve it, she had never wanted me there. Not really, not the way I had wanted her to want me. I put my phone down, exhaling shakily. I had spent my entire life making excuses for Liz, and I wasn't going to do it anymore. I picked up my suitcase, yanking the zipper open. I grabbed the dress I had bought for the wedding, ran my fingers over the fabric. It was beautiful, elegant, the kind of thing I had chosen with care, imagining how it would look in the pictures I was never meant to be in. I stuffed it back into my suitcase. I grabbed the carefully wrapped gift I had brought for Liz, the one I had spent hours picking out because I wanted it to be perfect for her. I threw it into the trash. And as I did, something inside me shifted. I didn't feel sad. I didn't feel guilty. I felt done. For the first time in my life, I wasn't going to be the sister who kept trying. I wasn't going to be the one who forced my way into a family that didn't want me. I was leaving. Not just this hotel, not just this city. I was leaving them. Liz, our parents, the years of being pushed aside, overlooked, treated like I didn't matter. Because I did matter. And if they couldn't see that, that was their loss. I grabbed my phone one last time, my heart pounding, as I typed the final message I would ever send. Me. Don't bother explaining. I get it now. Enjoy your marriage and your perfect little life. Just don't expect me to be part of it anymore. I hit send. Then I blocked her number. I booked the next flight home, and as I walked out of that hotel, leaving everything behind, I realized something. I had flown in thinking I was here for a wedding, but really I had flown in to set myself free. I didn't cry on the flight home. I thought I would. I thought I'd sit there staring out the window, letting the weight of everything crash down on me. I thought I'd feel the sting of being excluded from my own family, of knowing that Liz had never really wanted me there, of realizing that I had spent years chasing after something that never existed. But I didn't feel sad. I felt lighter, like I had been carrying something for so long. This hope, This belief that if I just tried hard enough, Liz would love me the way I loved her. And now I had finally set it down. I got home late that night. The apartment was quiet, the way I liked it. No family drama, no forced smiles, no one waiting for me to pretend that everything was fine. For the first time in days, I let out a deep breath, shaking off the exhaustion of everything that had happened. And then I did something I hadn't done in a long time. I blocked my family. Not just Liz, not just her number, her social media, her endless justifications that I knew were going to come. I blocked Mom and Dad too, because I knew what was coming. I knew they'd call, acting confused, pretending this was all just a misunderstanding. Sweetheart, Liz didn't mean it like that. We don't want you two fighting over something so small. Family is more important than pride, Bonnie. I wasn't going to give them the chance, because I knew the truth. They wouldn't have defended me. They never had. They would have told me to get over it, to be the bigger person, to keep playing the role I had always played. The reliable daughter, the one who never caused trouble, the one who accepted being second place. And I wasn't doing that anymore. The next morning, I woke up to silence. No missed calls, no messages. It was the first time in years that I had woken up without checking my phone, half expecting a request from Liz or an obligation from our parents. And it felt good. I made coffee, sat by my window, watching the world outside move on, and I realized I could move on too. That afternoon, I met up with an old friend, someone I had pushed aside too many times because I had been so focused on making time for family that never appreciated it. We talked for hours, laughed about things that had nothing to do with Liz or weddings or betrayals, and for the first time in forever, I felt like I was exactly where I was meant to be. Not waiting for a sister who had never truly been my sister, not proving myself to a family that had never valued me, not trying to earn love that should have been unconditional, just living my life. And then, a week later, something unexpected happened. I got a message from my aunt, Aunt Linda. Hey, sweetheart, I just wanted to say I'm sorry. I had no idea what Liz did until I talked to your mom. It wasn't right. You didn't deserve that. I stared at the message, my heart tightening. Not in pain, but in something closer to understanding. Because for the first time, someone in my family was acknowledging what had happened. Not making excuses, not telling me to forgive and forget, just saying the truth. I sat with that for a long time before replying. Thanks, Aunt Linda. I appreciate that. She responded almost immediately. Aunt Linda, I don't know if you want to hear this, but Liz isn't handling it well. I think she expected you to come crawling back like always, but you didn't. And now she doesn't know what to do with herself. I let out a slow breath, a small, humorless smile tugging at my lips. Of course. Liz had spent her entire life knowing that I would always come back, that no matter how she treated me, no matter what she did, I would always be there. But now she was realizing that I wasn't, and that was her problem, not mine. She made her choice. That was all I said, and I meant it. Because for the first time in my life, I was choosing myself. I wasn't waiting for this to change. I wasn't waiting for an apology that would never come. I wasn't waiting for my family to finally see me. I saw myself, and I was done chasing people who had never once chased me back. A few months later, I booked a solo trip, something I had always wanted to do, but never had time for because I was too busy dropping everything for my family. I explored new places, met new people, built a life that had nothing to do with them. And one night, as I sat on a quiet beach watching the sunset, my phone buzzed. A message. It was Liz. I hadn't heard from her since the wedding. I stared at the screen, feeling nothing but peace as I read the words. Liz, I don't know if you'll ever talk to me again, but I just wanted to say I'm sorry. I took a deep breath, letting the ocean air fill my lungs. Then slowly I set my phone down. I didn't reply, because I didn't need to. I had spent my whole life waiting for Liz to be the sister I deserved. But now I realized I had never needed her to be anything at all. Some losses aren't losses. Some losses are freedom.